Happy snow day, third grade. This is going to be your math lesson for this snow day. So you're going to want to have a piece of scratch paper and you're going to have a pencil because I want you to be jotting things down if it's helpful for you, but you're also going to need it so that you can do homework at the end and then turn it in for math credit for today. Okay? So we are going to be reviewing distributive property. If you guys remember when we first started talking about this sounded like a really big thing, right? Distributive property. It sounds very fancy and very big, right? Okay, but really all distributive property is when we have one big math problem and we break it down into smaller parts so that it's easier to figure out, okay? So remember, we have two factors in a multiplication problem most of the time, right? Okay, when we are doing distributive property, one of those factors is going to stay the same. The other factor we're going to break down to make it easier to find the answer, okay? So okay, we are going to do some practice. I lost my pen. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to do some practice together, and then I'm going to give you some to do on your own. So let's say we have the problem 6 times 5. Now, since you guys are all mathematicians, I know you know how to skip count by 5 and just 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? But let's say you didn't know how to do that. Let's say 6 times 5 was just a really tough one for us. What we can do is we can break it down, okay? What we can do is we can say 6 times 5 is equal to, and now we're going to make it smaller problems, okay? So let's say I'm going to keep my 5 the same. Remember, we have to have one factor, or one of the numbers in my multiplication problem is going to stay the same. And then we're going to break the other one down into smaller parts, okay? So we might say 2 times 5 plus 4 times 5. Okay? Now, how we've done it in class a lot is we'll just say 6 times 5 equals what? And then we'll write it down this way. Either is fine, but how your math book usually says or writes it is like this. So this is how we're going to practice it. Okay? So what we see is we see that I kept my 5 the same in my smaller problems, and then I broke 6 down into 2 and 4. So if I add 2 and 4, I get 6, and then my 5 stays the same. So now all we have to do is solve those two smaller problems and put them together. So 2 times 5 is 10. 5 plus 5 is 10. And 4 times 5 is 20. Now, if you didn't know 4 times 5, what you could do is you could come over here and do the same thing for 4 times 5. 4 times 5 equals 2 times 5 and 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. Now, all I would have to do is add those together, and I get 20. That helps me understand that 4 times 5 is 20. Do you have to do that? No. If you know what 4 times 5 is, then you just write that answer down. Okay? In this case, I'm going to say I know what 4 times 5 is, so I'm going to write 20. Now my last step is to solve it. So I'm going to say 6 times 5 equals, well, 10 plus 20 is 30. Okay? So the answer to my big problem is 30. Okay? Let's do another one. Okay, what if I have 8 times 4? Well, I'm going to break down 8 times 4. So I'm going to say, I'm going to break down the 4. Okay? Why? Because some of the easiest factors that we've talked about are zeros, ones, twos, fives, and tens. Those are some of the easier ones to do, right? So when I'm breaking down problems, I'm going to look for the ones that are the easiest for me to figure out. So in this case, 2 is going to be an easy one because I can break 4 down into 2 plus 2. So how I might do it is say 8 times 4 equals 8 times 2 plus 8 times 2. Now I'm going to solve for 8 times 2. Remember, 8 is going to stay the same, and I broke 4 down into 2 and 2. So I'm going to say 8 times 4 equals 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16. Now all I have to do is add 16 and 16, which is 32. Okay? And if 16 and 16 is hard for you to figure out just like that, you can always, again, off to the side, put your problem and then solve it. Okay? All right. Let's do one more. Now, again, you guys are smart. You know your 9's facts by using your hands, right? I could say 9 times 8 is 72, but if I didn't know how to do that, I could break it down. I'm going to break it down by the 9, and I'm going to leave 8 the same. Okay, so I'm going to say 9 times 8 equals 5 times 8 plus 4 times 8. I left my 8 the same, and I broke 9 down into 5 and 4. So how I would solve it then is 5 times 8 is 40. And remember, if some of these are still too big, come off to the side and solve those and then come back to your bigger problem, okay? 4 times 8 is 32. So now I can say 9 times 8 is 72. And again, if the addition is hard for you to do in your head, come over to the side and figure that out so you can do that, okay? So then 9 times 8, I know, is 72. Now, if you're not sure, check it on your hands. 9 times 8 is 72, okay? All right, so here is your homework then. You can practice doing this. So what I want you to do is write the problem and then show your work using distributive property. How would you solve this using distributive property? And I know a lot of you are really good at these problems in your head, but I want to see your work. I want to see that you know how to break this down to solve it in a different way, okay? So do that. Make sure you have your name on your paper. Show me your work on distributive property on these 5 problems, and that will be your homework for this snow day. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll see you